What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Welcome to another live stream. Let's take a look at the market. So it's another weekly market analysis. So let's try to see where are the good opportunities for the week ahead. So as you know, feel free to share. Not this one. Feel free to share any charts that you want us to pay attention to and everything. So Trading Box, I think this comment was a long time ago, already 3 hours ago. But yeah, so whoever is watching, feel free to comment. Feel free to let me know also what you guys are looking at for this week. So this is a moment for me also to pay attention, try to see how I'm going to position myself for the week ahead. What kind of opportunities do I want to try to look for? Just to start, 1 second, just pop the music. Okay, the music is on. Just to start, let's take a look at the news. Apparently, there are some elections in Japan right now, today. So that's going to be interesting to see if that's going to affect the yen or not. We'll see if there's going to be any gaps in there. Monday is going to be quiet. And then you have Tuesday. Apparently, there must be some kind of event. We have the UK, Bank of England governor speaking, and then you have the Fed as well. In Washington. Okay. Wednesday again quiet, and then you have Thursday manufacturing and service PMI, so that's going to be volatile in here, so that's going to be one day to pay attention to, and then Friday already with the retail sales. So that's basically the week before the FOMC, the Fed meeting, so that's going to be one to pay attention afterwards. In terms of earnings, to be honest, I'm not really sure what can I expect for this week. Let's take a look at this one quickly. 1 second. What earnings are you going to have? I don't think there's any big tech companies still announcing the earnings this week. Maybe that's going to be the week after that. All right. So that's what we have. So it's going to be quiet, as you can see. Nothing related or nothing big in terms of when you're looking at the dollar, aside from Thursday. So yeah, maybe another week of price action before we jump into the fundamentals the week after that, the last week of July. So what did you have last week? So as you know, I think I presented two scenarios, if I recall it correctly. I think we were somewhere around here last Friday. Tuesday, Monday, Friday. Yep. So last Friday you were somewhere around here, and I did mention that I was looking for two potential scenarios. One of them, yes, I was looking for shorts. That's basically what I mentioned. I wanted to see price moving to the downside before moving to the upside, and potentially going and fearing this somewhere around this pricing here. However, that bearish scenario never happened. Okay, so in particular, in this moment when price really start reacting from this level, I was looking for a clear break of structure, a clear break of a low to actually look for these potential shorts on the dollar index, and that never happened, which means that eventually we end up having this move to the upside. Especially here on Tuesday, when you had this move, I was literally looking or trying to see if we didn't manage to have the breaking here. I think then we could go down. That never happened. Again, price just then moved to the upside without any surprise. Now price is getting, or it reacted back closer to this top at around this level. We did mention that as well. So basically we had this from this top all the way to this bottom, and that was basically the last swing that we have in here, where this one could be the middle zone that could hold price down before moving higher. Never happened, as I mentioned. There was no break of structure, and eventually we had to move upwards. So that was what we had on the dollar. Finally, we start having some breaks to the downside in there, and price got to the base of this level. So if you're looking at this level of supply here on the higher time frame, but you can consider the lower edge of the lower base of this level, and then you can go into more detail of the upper extreme of that supply somewhere around here. Okay, so somewhere around that level, maybe there's still some selling pressure in there as well. Now, one thing to consider is that this level in here is already a break to the upside. So bear that in mind, that this top already broke that structure, which eventually can be that price will go even higher. And this may not be the final destination in here on the dollar. But for now, price reacted from the base. We did manage to break now the structure in here. So after that reaction, okay, that was that fake news with which I'm trying via the fetcher call, and then kind of canceling it say rejecting those news, and we had the reaction straight away. And I'm going to be curious. So yes, we start having some selling pressure. So when the dollar index starting to react from this level, I think it was quite naturally that we'll be looking for some selling pressure. Unfortunately, that happened quite quickly. For whoever catch this move, congrats. I was waiting or looking for a price to go in a more slower move to the downside. So that move actually kind of started to, it removed my initial approach to try to look for longs on the pound dollar and euro dollar. Nevertheless, we may continue to find some more opportunities somewhere in here. Something interesting that I can mention as well is in regards to the liquidity that was created within this move as well. Okay, so I'm going to talk about three different scenarios. One in here on the dollar index and euro dollar, the other one in the DXY and EU. Okay, then we have the one in GU, and then we have the one in the UJ. Okay, so it's just the way they use the different liquidity in here. Basically, what I'm going to say is that since on the left side in this case, on the dollar index and euro dollar, price was not really faking out anything on the left side. Okay, there was no kind of high or low liquidity that the price would end up faking out. Then what we created in here was that price ended up creating this move to downside, right? This aggressive move to downside. And when it came back in here, it ended up still having the need to fake out still this level before now moving to the downside again. So we did manage to have this move in there. Hi Pedro, I will train my English here. My English, boa tarde para nós dois. Boas, Alistair. Podemos, you can ask me in Portuguese, ok? Podes me perguntar em português but the idea is to reply in English, but ask me in Portuguese if you want. So what I wanted to mention in here, but welcome, okay? Thank you very much for being here with me. This is basically something I'm going to try to speak slowly as well. Yeah, this is just me trying to do my own analysis, and I just jump into the live stream. Just why not? Since I'm already spending the time in here on the charts. So what I wanted to mention is in regards to how to collect liquidity and the different structure that we had on the dollar index with euro dollar, on the pound and EUJ. Okay, so that's basically what we had. So as I mentioned, on the dollar index and euro dollar, there was no structure, there was no fake out being created on the left side. So we still price still had the urge to eventually fake out this or use this top in here as liquidity. Okay, use it as liquidity to then push lower. So we did have this extra push higher in here on the dollar index, and the same thing on the euro dollar. On the pound, it was different. As we will see in a bit, the pound, it had created kind of an important low in here. The price did something like that. This is a daily low, and we did manage now to, the pound, before that big move, managed to fake out that level. So the liquidity was already collected after this. And you had the push up, and then price ended up just reacting and now trying to push higher again. So the liquidity in this case, it was already done from the zone on the left side. And then you have the dollar yen, which is quite similar to the dollar yen, to the dollar index and euro dollar. However, price was also reacting from a similar level than the dollar index, and we had that big move push to the downside. But what we had before, it was we created the top, we bounced like this, and then we moved down. Okay, this is basically on the same intraday. And what happened in here is that we did manage to leave this supply behind, and you had these stops in here to break out. So when price came back in here from that big move, there was no need kind of to fake out the top in here, because we had this mid-range structure to fake out that level. So price actually fake out that level and then try to push lower. Okay, and I'm talking even in regards to this news that we had in here on Thursday with retail sales, if I'm not mistaken. So those were three different ways that price used the same news event, kind of that manipulation in terms of how to collect liquidity. One went above it. The second one Price had already faked out an important structure on the left side, and the third one, price created this structure, we went up, and then we moved on. Okay, so you can study that. Again, price usually does maybe 4 or 5 different patterns around the same structures. It doesn't really have much more than that. It's up to us to find out those levels and those manipulations. Okay, so dollar index, we did manage to break this zone, so I'm going to be expecting eventually that we can continue to try to push a little bit lower and maybe somewhere in here or even at the extreme. So I'm going to be looking for that. However, at the same time, I don't really think that the top is still at the final level. I could still see price also moving a little bit higher, closer to this zone in here, before maybe making that move down. So that's going to be an interesting one. We do have a little bit of a gap in there. So basically, it's going to be interesting to see if price will continue to just respect this level and push lower, or is it going to try to push slightly higher, still maybe underneath this, still respecting that top, and then making that kind of a move. And I'll be looking for both scenarios. Okay, I'll be looking for both scenarios, try to see if any of those play out. So it's either somewhere around here where I may have a move and price goes, or maybe even taking this top still and then go. So those will be the two zones I'll be paying attention to on the dollar index, eventually to try to push price lower. Yeah, so that would be something to pay attention. If by any chance we do have price breaking above this top without that big retracement, then I may still try to find that deep retracement either way. Okay, so if price just continues to go higher in here and goes, then maybe that deep retracement can happen after we take this. Okay, I'm going to continue to be looking for that deep retracement regardless. I'm not really sure if this is enough for that deep retracement, unless price spends a bit more time in here, respects it, and now goes. That would be maybe a different story. Yeah, so I'll be continuing to look for that, which means that I'll be looking for the opposite on the euro dollar and the pound dollar. Avistar, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, so that's the dollar index. Now looking a little bit at the euro index. Euro index, it's still within this range. It did a little bit what you were looking for, maybe basically now faking out a little bit this previous structure. It did that with the news, and we already have a break to the downside somewhere in here, so that's something to look for as well. And now we have the fake out in there. So price is already collecting liquidity up and above the structure, the range, and I'm just curious to see which direction eventually is going to move towards to. And I would actually like to see it moving to the downside eventually, maybe until we get closer to this structure again. But if price has the intention to go higher, then it can go. And basically what I'm going to be looking is to see, yeah, maybe price, okay, this is the wrong one. Maybe price can bounce from here again and then push higher, and then we can read the euro dollar to try to push a little bit more to the upside. Basically what I'm trying to find out in here with the dollar index, with the euro index, is to see if we do have confluence with the other moves. For example, if price starts to bounce from here and starts to go long, maybe that's an opportunity to look for longs on the euro pairs. And maybe if price comes back close to the top in here and starts finding some resistance, maybe that's an opportunity to look for shorts in some of the euro pairs. I'm talking maybe euro yen or euro dollar. Okay, that's how I'm going to be using this information from this chart. If you do have any proper break of structure here and then goes, then you may have a little bit more of momentum, more strength. But at least maybe try to use this information to try to bounce in between these levels and try to find then within the euro pairs the opportunity to capitalize on that move. So that's something I'll be looking. Yeah, obviously I will definitely be looking at gold. Let me know what you are looking at gold. Are you looking for long, shorts? What is your take on gold? Yeah. So after you share that, then I will jump into gold. Let me just finish with FX. So this is euro dollar. So yes, so euro dollar. We last week, as we mentioned, we were somewhere around here. Yeah, Friday, somewhere around this level. So that's exactly what we talked about. Even in this case, in this scenario, I was also looking actually on the euro dollar for a potential move to the downside. I didn't really like where the euro dollar is reacting in here, and I think at least could go a bit more closer to this level, or even a little bit more into here, right? It's basically the next structure. It's basic from here to here, somewhere around that level. So on the euro dollar, to be honest, I was actually still looking for price to go a bit lower, and I had this level marked. Okay, so I had this zone, this supply level that was still fresh because none of these stops reacted from it. Curious enough, that's exactly where price reacted with those news. So that level also has been taken at this point, or at least is much weaker because we already collected those orders from there. And I'm curious to see what will happen now. Okay, so maybe price still have this level behind, maybe can bounce from here. In this case scenario, price and euro dollar, it will just continue to push a little bit more to the upside, which means the dollar index a bit more to the downside. Or if the dollar index similar to the euro dollar, similar to the dollar index, if the dollar index does want to continue to push a little bit more towards here, a little bit closer to that extreme, maybe the euro dollar could also eventually push a little bit closer to these lows in here, which will mean maybe take this level eventually and start getting closer to this demand zone. So that will be something to pay attention on the euro dollar. Now with this big move that we have, I'm not the biggest fan of trading within this level, to be honest. I'm not the biggest fan. I'm not really sure what to expect now. Where price is, I will consider now it's a bit more into the middle of the zone. So if it gets closer to this structure, maybe you can try to look for another long, or eventually just let it break and start moving a bit more towards this level before aiming to a long. So I'm not the biggest fan yet in here on what the euro dollar is doing. Yeah, wait and see how price is going to open. If there's any good reaction from here, potentially tomorrow morning, that's a long opportunity on the euro. Then you have the pound, right? So the pound is the example that I gave before. So we had taken this important daily low. This was something that we mentioned, that we talked about, that I was already expecting this low to be broken because this low had already broken this one on the left side, this structure. So I was not really giving any importance to this low. However, now that we took it, that's a good level to look for liquidity. So no surprise that we had this impulse move to the upside. It looks like on Friday price ended up closing quite negative on the pound, maybe to just come back to correct this left shoulder in there. But as you can see, the pound never really managed to fake out this move from the lows, from this news, because we had already actually faked out that level. Now this for me is an engulf to the downside, so I'm expecting still the pound to continue to push lower because price did manage to break structure. So I'm still bearish on the pound in the bigger picture. Okay, and as you recall, I've been bearish for a long time. Basically, since we created the top in there, that the structure I've been more looking for is something like this. So that's still the destination that I'm expecting on the pound, at least maybe closer to this structure, somewhere around there. So basically create new lows. However, we could actually, from where we are right now, we could actually have a deeper retracement. We could actually have something similar to what's going on in here. And I would love that, to be honest. I would love to actually to see the pound dollar now pushing higher again before maybe filling out this space that is missing. I actually would like that. As a confirmation now to the upside, I think it's quite obvious that we need to see this top being broken. However, if this top is broken, maybe price will just create some structure here and now continues without the need to have a deeper retracement. So this is already kind of a deeper retracement that price may have as a double top, double bottom, or even triple bottom, because this is already a low. Price went up, retested, is already kind of a second low, and Are we going to have a triple O in here, or are we going to eventually have a price continue to push a bit more to the downside before moving higher, maybe going below that low in there? So that's something on the pound. I will continue, if price continues to move a bit more to the downside, I'll continue to look for longs. Price basically has been bearish since the beginning of the month. If you're looking at the weekly time frame as well, yeah, it's already 3 weeks in a row. And if you're looking at the month, basically it's a full, basically the month of July, price already basically clean out the previous monthly candle. Went higher and it already broke that low. It's missing now the proper close below, but at this point it's still it looks a bit bearish. Question mark: is there any level somewhere around here that I'm interested to look for? Not sure. By the way, why am I doing the analysis in here? Usually I don't do my analysis in here. Okay, we'll come back to this one. Yeah, just take a look at euro dollar quite quickly. So yeah, this is usually where I do my analysis, is on MT5, MT4. The other one is usually just for the other stream. So yes, euro dollar doesn't really change anything. We can have the potential of moving closer to this level, and that's maybe where we could go. And you may have this structure in here that price can potentially react from. Okay, so that's that. Euro pound dollar, as I mentioned, so we did manage to take that low, and maybe can even go a little bit closer to here or even to there. And this actually would be a bit of my favorite, somewhere around there. But before that, definitely may have. Now, intraday, is there anything still? This was with the news, kind of quick fake out. Maybe we can still have that level as an extreme. Yeah, maybe. But price respected quite nicely with the supply in there. So yeah, not entirely sure. But if price continues to push lower, I'll be keep looking for potential zones to look for longs. Maybe price does want to go all the way. Maybe price does want to come all the way here before actually have a bigger move. Who knows? Who knows? Euro pound is making an interesting move. So we are definitely at this top again, and I believe that we are going to find more selling pressure as we get closer to this level. So we already started to have that selling pressure again. This was that news, if not mistaken, and they're starting to have a little bit of a selling pressure on euro pound. Basically, this trend line is being respected as well. Maybe missing still a proper break of a low, but as price continues to get closer and closer to here, I think there's maybe a bit more selling pressure to continue to look for. Since this top actually reacted nicely from that zone, well, I'm going to be looking for something like that. So I do want to see. I think this is where price already reacted from, and maybe price can still react from something inside here. So I'll be definitely looking for that. So euro pound is going to be one to pay attention to. What else? Aussie dollar, not so much. I haven't really enjoyed Aussie dollar, to be honest. The price has been spiking a lot. Maybe creating good opportunities. We just broke the structure, so maybe price does want to continue to push a little bit more to the downside, but it's not a part that I've been trying to trade. I don't really like the way price is moving, so I'm going to continue to just skip it. And I think that goes the same way for New Zealand. When you're looking at New Zealand, yeah, good reaction from this bottom, so that's nice. But overall, Yeah, overall it hasn't really been my favorite. Good reaction from this supply as well, so that at least was nice. Yeah, maybe if price comes back into these lows, maybe there's an opportunity to look for. Yes, we did manage to go take a little bit of the structure, but you just reacted literally from here as well. So that's a good reaction. That's a good target that we looked for. Yeah, it was a good target. We can even fake out. We can even go a little bit deeper in there, or we can maybe respect these left shoulders. And for that, we are looking at the extreme in here. Yeah, I think it's going to depend on how price approaches. Yeah, we'll see. Euro Aussie. This was actually quite a nice one across the Aussie pairs. Yeah, I'm just interested on this one if price comes back closer to this level. There's maybe an opportunity to try to sell it again somewhere around here. Price respected it. Maybe there's a new structure to be looking at around this level. But personally, I'm just interested more if price does get higher. Yeah. Pound Aussie. You can look at Pound Aussie as well. Why not? It has been a while since I looked at this. Yeah, nice fake out at level. Came all the way back in here. Yeah, there's maybe more selling pressure as well, somewhere around this level. So if prices want to come a little bit higher, we did manage to break that structure. This is a nice one. Interesting move. Yeah, this was a nice one. Yeah, we'll see. Nothing standing out to me in that one. Yen pairs. Okay, yen pairs, I need this one. Yeah, for the yen pairs, I need this one. Faustine Bush! Como é que estás, Faustine? Faustine, ainda sobreviveste à tua trade no pound ou não? I should be doing this in Portuguese or English, I don't even know. Let's just have a conversation, I don't care. But it's mostly in English. So did you survive your trade on the pound? Ainda? Onde é que era o teu stop loss? Conseguiste sobreviver com o stop loss ainda? Onde é que está o pound again? 13350, 133. Yeah. O que é que achas que vai acontecer? Quando tu vês o preço a quebrar. Quando tu vês o preço a quebrar o fundo, quer dizer, se calhar na tua leitura não quebrou porque não fechou abaixo, não é? Portanto, tu se calhar só consideras que a quebra se o preço fechar abaixo e não se for só 5 uma week. Mas vamos supor que o preço tinha fechado abaixo, ok? Vamos supor que o preço realmente fechou abaixo deste fundo, que era o fundo que tu querias. Whatever, I'm speaking Portuguese now. How do you react now? Do you change your approach in terms of trade management of the trade, or you just keep it like it is and you continue to look for that target? Yeah. If you ever tried it, like backtest those scenarios. Okay, where are we? Yen. Yen pairs, perfect. So yes, we've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and now we are here. So yen index finally arrived to a level where we were interested in looking for longs, which is the reaction now back into these lows. So that was something I've been waiting. If you guys have been following any of the content that I share online, I've been looking for shorts and shorts and shorts on the yen, which basically longs on the individual yen pairs, and now we are at a different level. Nevertheless, we can still continue to move lower. That doesn't mean that this is going to be the bottom. Maybe price does want to actually go even below these lows in here and maybe continue to push lower. So that could happen. However, more into intraday levels, I think we can have a little bit of a buying pressure from around this level before maybe we can move or break all these zones in here that has been respected for the last since last year. Now the reality is when you are looking into the higher time frame, we have a good reaction, right? So basically, price in here came all the way back to this top, and this top also reacted that top, which means that we may have more selling pressure that now we are getting in here. I'll be looking a little bit more for longs like this if we did manage to break the top and then go down and then potentially do this. As we continue to respect these levels, maybe we can have a little bit more of a bearish move in here, maybe getting closer to something underneath that level. However, yen pairs, they can range, okay? So they can range. They tend to trend a lot and then kind of they completely shift and then they go around. I'm not really sure if the elections that are going on today in Japan, if there's any impact or not. I have no clue. We will see with the opening. But now what we have in here is that we actually managed to break slightly this structure, so that's nice, and price never really got closer or never really closed the gap into the next zone. So that for me can be actually considered as an engulf to the upside or something to pay attention that eventually price may wants to go higher. On the lower time frame, as price is coming back to this level, we may have some interesting PI. If price does something like this, then we may go to the upside, maybe some kind of trend line or something like that. We may have a good reaction still from these lows, and price can try to push higher. So I wouldn't be entirely surprised if you do have a move like that. So that's just something to bear in mind. Maybe still fake out this low before actually try to attempt to move higher. And this is how I'm going to try to find opportunities on the yen pairs. Now, when you're looking a bit deeper in here, okay, price is reacting from that one. This week in here already took a lot of orders from this one. And this is at the bottom, which I don't like at all. Yeah, I'm going to try to use this information. I'm going to keep an eye on the yen pairs to try to look for sells. That's basically what I'm going to try to do. So if I'm looking for longs in here, it means that on the euro yen, pound yen, dollar yen, and so on, I'm going to be looking for sells, and that's the idea. Okay, this was actually a trade that I missed on the euro yen. It was based on the potential move in here and the euro yen moving to the downside. Unfortunately, I did miss that trade. Yeah, Faustino, I asked before. I don't know if you change your approach or not. When you see price breaking or kind of at least going below the low that you want to trade, if usually that means that maybe price does want to continue eventually against you, or you treat it like it doesn't matter, it doesn't close below, maybe it's just collecting liquidity and now it's just going to go higher after that. Basically, the question is, usually when you do trade, the likelihood of success is higher when price actually respects the level and goes higher, or do you see any difference if price does this and still goes higher, or the opposite prices this and now goes the opposite way? Like if you do see any difference between scenario 1, 2, or 3. Now, based on the information that we just shared, let's go back into this. Okay, looking at the dollar yen. So dollar yen is exactly what we mentioned as well. So dollar yen managed to just go all the way, broke this high. This was already a reaction from that side. This was already price breaking this top. So basically this level has already been broken. This was just a reaction towards that one. Price respected this low. So yeah, moving to the upside, no surprise whatsoever. And this level is still fresh. Okay, so we still had this level of supply in here fresh, and price is already reacting from the buy. So that's where price was reacting before that big move. And this is exactly what I mentioned in terms of the liquidity as well, in terms of then you create some structure. We have shoulders in there, and then good reaction in terms of collecting liquidity during those news on Friday. Now we may have a continuation a little bit more to the upside. I think dollar yen can continue. This was a nice reaction actually from this level, and you may continue to go a little bit higher, continue to have a little bit more pressure to the upside, especially if the dollar yen and if the dollar yen does want to, not dollar yen, if the dollar index does want to continue to push a little bit more to the upside, and if the yen index does want to continue to push a little bit more before potentially going higher, we may have a little bit more of a continuation in here on the dollar yen. And with that, let's just bring this one again. Basically, I'm trying to find out, I'm going to try to see if the dollar yen, the yen index does want to continue to push either towards close to this level or even that one, we may have dollar yen also making a little bit of more pressure. Unless it reverses already from here, and that's a different story. But yes, but if the yen index goes up, dollar yen most likely can have a little bit of more of that pressure, and depending on how this yen index is going to react from around this level, which can still continue to push a little bit lower as well, as we just saw it. That can help as well the dollar yen to go a little bit higher before a move down. Now, if you do have something like this, I think dollar yen can be an interesting one of the yen pairs to pay attention, because maybe on the dollar you may have that move down somewhere in here or somewhere in there. So I think dollar yen is going to be an interesting pair to pay attention this week because of the combination of the other two. So ready to go higher a little bit more. Maybe we can find something in here a little bit. Yeah, I think you can still find some selling pressure in there. Yeah, you can even go and from there can react. Yeah, so dollar yen is going to be something to pay attention. Am I interested to sell somewhere in here? Not entirely sure. Not entirely sure. And unless again we do have some PI that leads into that, not entirely sure. Euro yen. Euro yen was the one that unfortunately I didn't really manage to catch it. The sell to have been here. And it's another one that we are getting closer and closer to some important highs. So again, in addition with the yen index, if the yen index does want to continue to push a little bit lower, this one you may have a little bit more of a push to downside. And this one on the dollar yen, that's one that I want to pay attention to the euro index to see where we are. So basically again, so euro index has been stuck within this range. Okay, so by any chance, for example, if the euro index now does make this push a little bit more towards this level, maybe we can have also euro yen pushing a little bit more to the upside, and eventually when you get here, and if you do this, then you may have a little bit of a push downside also on the euro yen, of course, depending on what the yen is doing. So this is how I'm going to be using this information on the euro index and how to combine it with the euro yen. Again, I'm more of a contrarian trader, so I'm actually more looking for sells in here than longs, and that's how I'm going to try to position myself. So yeah, I do want to continue to track how the other two assets are going to move. I'm not interested in selling anything underneath this top at this point. Price did make the move, did reach the target, in our opinion. It reached this demand zone, and from here I think it can go and take the highs again before trying to go over again, and maybe can even fill this spot afterwards as one of the targets. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. When you're looking into here, second, push more into this level. Basically, price at this point is reacting from this nice, actually Quasimodo pattern within the supply, and there's still room to the upside. There's still a potential. Again, there's more room towards that level. When you're looking into the lower time frame, actually 1 minute. I think I have enough data on minutes. I use this. This was the 11. Yeah, okay. So as you can see, price broke it. This was the deepest retracement that he had, at least on 1 minute. So within this level, maybe we can still find something or some kind of reaction. Then we start going into the next level. And then you can try to find as well where was the demand zone that price should have respected. But it didn't. It went down, so maybe somewhere around here as well we can have some reaction, but now to the opposite side. So that's something that I'll be paying attention. Even if you do go above this top in here, maybe we can find some selling pressure. Otherwise, then price may just go all the way into there. But as soon as you start getting into this level, I think there's starting to be even more pressure as well for the Bank of Japan to do something about it. Yes, so that will be something to track in here. Yep, I do like it. I want to continue. That's going to be on my radar for sure. Pound yen, I also continue to push higher. I think there's more room to the upside as well, and potentially until something around this level. So let it go higher, let it continue to compress, let it continue to break new highs until we may have some interesting move to play with. When you're looking left, we just broke important structure. This was something that we talked about, and potentially we can get a little bit closer in there. So there's maybe a bit more room on the pound yen to continue to go higher. So basically, based on what we saw in here, maybe a few of these yen pairs, they looks like that they still want to move a little bit more to the upside, which means that maybe the yen index does want to move a little bit more to the downside. So we may not be at the bottom yet on the yen index, neither these ones at the top. So let it go. And also one that was quite interesting this week, it was the Aussie yen. Where is the Aussie yen? Which may still provide interesting opportunities for next week. So Aussie yen had a massive move to the downside. It was actually a good reaction when price reacted from there. When you're looking at the higher time frame, we just fake out this daily weekly top, and actually then we stopped still underneath that level. I was even looking for price to go a bit higher, and I think there can be some interesting reaction on the yen, on the Aussie yen, as price continues to push a bit more to the upside. So if it continues to eventually continue push higher, I think we're going to have that type of compression in there, and potentially can even target the top eventually. Now, what do you have in here? So this was a nice move. Definitely, price broke that level, then overnight it reacted from here and pushed forward. We never managed to break this low, so that's something to pay attention. Is there anything still on top? Yeah, there's maybe still more selling pressure within this top, depending on how price reacts. Time frame. Yeah, we may have some selling pressure. Well, it depends. Yeah, I have my alert, and then we'll see how price may react. Maybe even just go above this one. Yeah, that initial reaction was nice. Now it's a bit more wait and see. I could see it still going towards that direction instead of just stopping in here. We will see. We will see. Okay, that's the N pairs. I think that definitely is going to be on my radar, combining Euro index and Yen index. Jumping into dollar CAD, good reaction from this top. This could actually be a valid top for now, but dollar CAD has been respecting every single low. So even when it made this move to the upside, it reacted now from this KM. CAD was Quasimodo's. Still respected this low, and now we still need to break. We definitely need to break a proper structure, a proper low, before maybe making this type of a move in there. So who knows? Continue to push higher, no selling pressure, or you find some selling pressure in there. Eventually, a level that I've been looking more, it would be even for price to go above the top, getting a little bit closer into something in there. So that would be, I think that would be quite nice. Yeah, that would be quite nice, to be honest. But that one is still a bit far away from it. So we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. Yeah, we'll see. If it goes higher, maybe we can find no new selling pressure. If price still comes inside this level, maybe we can have some buying pressure. Now you can fake out this low. Maybe something like that could play out. Yeah, not yet on my radar. Is there an opportunity? Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to spend much time looking at that one. EuroCAD reached the target. So we're looking for shorts all the way through, and price reached the target. Okay, so that's something that we had. Price came all the way, and it reached this target after breaking that low. That was basically the target. Good reaction from that level. I'm still looking for potential shorts from the top if price does go there. So that would be something on something that I would like to look at. So now we'll see. This was, yeah, maybe from here it's still maybe a long opportunity, even though I'm not the biggest fan of that. 1 second. This level. Yeah, this level. 1 second. Yes, this level can be. If you do break up below those lows, yeah, maybe this level can be interesting. This one can still have some reaction, but then I'll definitely prefer to see price going deeper. That above would be my favorite. And then you have pound CAD, which just continues as well. Good reaction to downside after it took those stops. And yeah, now I need to wait and see. I'm not interested in looking for longs. I think eventually price could actually break and go lower. So this is not exactly what I'm going to be interested. But maybe price can react from it. Yeah, wait and see, to be honest. Wait and see. You can look at dollar franc Swiss. Dollar franc Swiss also reacting close to a target. Basically, price. We can maybe also look at the swing high to swing low, and this is maybe the mid-range structure that can still hold price, basically what you're looking for on the dollar index last week. And in alignment with this previous level of support resistance, basically these lows in here also holding price. And then with the news, basically price just moved quite aggressively. And now we'll see. Maybe there's still more selling pressure if price does go higher. Did he manage to take the low? I think he didn't manage to take the low, so that's maybe something to look at. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe from here there's still a potential to look for shorts. I think that could still play out. I think that can still play out. from around there, depending on how price reacts from it, I think there's still potential to look for more selling pressure. Otherwise, price can start breaking. Yeah, the uptrend Swiss may range within here for a while. Yeah, let's look at gold. I don't know if she's still there. Is that still there? We can look at gold now. Yeah, FX, basically that's what I'm going to be looking for. Gold is nothing much going on. It's still respecting this level. It's still in the middle. Okay, so when you're looking at the higher time frame, at least on my perspective, the price is still in the middle. It's still far away from the levels I want to be involved in. So the range is this one. We can look at this one swing low to this swing high. And we did manage to break some structure, even though we reacted from the upper edge of that level. But this can be seen a little bit as an engulf to the downside, because we did manage to break below these levels in there. Okay, so that's one. But when you do break below those levels, you could actually expect some reaction from here. It doesn't mean that's going to be the level that price is going to do this. That is some level that we can have some reaction, and maybe this is going to be the final target in here on gold before maybe price goes higher. Who knows? But that's more bigger picture. That's already kind of a few months ago. Now, when you're looking more into most recent price action, then you start having this low, this top. And then you have also from here to this low as well, which basically respected this double bottom at this point. And this level in here may still be fresh. Kind of I meant with this left shoulders. This one may still be fresh in there. Now we continue, and this is basically what we have for the last couple of weeks. Correct. So I had two levels that I was paying attention, and that price could potentially react from as a short. One was this one, and the other one will be somewhere in there. And this one in here is maybe just for a scalp opportunity, because price can definitely fake out the stops in here, react from it, and have some reaction, or have some reaction straight away, maybe towards this level. Who knows until where, or even just from here to here. And when you're looking into the war time frame, there's maybe an opportunity to catch a move like this. But yeah, aside from that, the selling pressure continues to be from there. We have this with the news as well. Price reacted, and I was actually looking to see if gold would go a little bit deeper into this level before moving to the upside, but it didn't. Basically, just continued to be somewhere around here. So we'll see. In my opinion, I don't really have an opinion, to be honest, on gold. It can bounce around. It can do whatever it wants within this structure. My zones of interest are definitely if price goes higher, okay, and gets closer to this level, depending on the price action, I may go and actually try to look for that short opportunity. If price gets around this level again, maybe there's an interesting long potentially, now that we have even this low to pick out. Yeah, potentially for anyone that is interested in this bullish on gold, maybe can find some buying pressure in there, or then a little bit closer to here. If you start breaking below these lows, then I'm going to be looking a bit lower for price to, or before attempting to go long, basically. Yeah. So I'm not doing anything on gold until eventually price goes somewhere in there. Silver, good reaction. So I was looking for shorts on silver after that big move up. Price already got closer to this previous level. So basically the initial target or initial trade that you can expect from after price has a big reaction, that's gone already. Okay, so that's already gone. This trade is gone. Price already came all the way back, reacted from the previous basically resistance becoming support, and now it may actually go even higher. And now silver is reacting from within now this structure, can even go higher, definitely. And that's going to be what I'm going to be trying to find on silver. The price moved to the downside, it may have already collected a lot of orders. So you can see price spent a lot of time in here until finally dropped. So if anything, maybe somewhere underneath there, or below this level that we're going to be looking for any reaction. But my ideal, it would be for silver to take again these stops. First of all, we may have some selling pressure as soon as price, actually price already took that level. So yes, we may have some reaction just within this level. So if price does take that, maybe we can have something to look for. Price is kind of reacting nicely now from this support. Yeah, so this one can be a potential first initial level to look for shorts. Let it attract even more. Yeah, it could maybe attract even more selling pressure within this level, and then maybe fake out that and have some reaction from here. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Otherwise just let it go higher. Oil, not entirely sure on oil, to be honest. I could see it eventually coming back into this level, but at the same time, this zone in here could still hold price, and actually could have a continuation more of the downside before we go back into that 74. Maybe this week we may have an opportunity to spend again some time within this range without really going anywhere. So yes, we may go here, may react from here, may go down in here, then may go higher. It's going to be an interesting one. When you do break below that level, that's a different story. Yeah, that would be a different story. Yeah, maybe still within these stops. Crypto just continues. It's a good reaction here. Perfect. That's a good reaction. Yeah, that's a good reaction. Eventually it's going to go higher, but it's an initial good reaction on Ethereum. Yeah, may have just for the moment a little bit of selling pressure. That's definitely a fresh supply. Price is reacting from. That's definitely a fresh supply level in there. Yeah, but it's a bit too aggressive still. But there's not enough people interested in selling just yet for price actually to be able to sell. So we'll need to create something like that to actually attract a lot, maybe break some structure before maybe doing something like this, and then maybe go. At this point, is still there's not enough people interested in selling here to trap people to actually sell. The reaction is good. It's a fresh level. It's actually quite interesting. Support resistance. We have a fresh supply. So that's all. That is perfect. It's possible to catch this initial move, this initial reaction from there. We did manage to break below that level. So yeah, maybe somewhere in here. Yeah, target. Yeah, somewhere in here. Compression close to these lows. The price can even go a little bit something in here. Yeah, but that's too risky, to be honest. So I know what's Solana doing. Nothing. Bitcoin dominance just drops. This may be the top on Bitcoin dominance. Maybe the top. Yeah, 365, 66. That's maybe it. That's maybe it. May have some reaction from here, so we may have a little bit of a push on Bitcoin when prices go there. Yeah. Oh, Trading Box, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What are you looking at? Did you sell with Ethereum? 3912. Be careful with those cells. 39. What is 3912? Okay, 3912. Let's just see where 3912 is. These were hardest to beat. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Most likely, I'll need to go into the war time frame. I don't know if I have that data. I'll need to go into the war time frame. Yeah, there's maybe some reaction to be expected. This initial move already is quite good. Then you can even go higher than that. Yeah, what I was just talking about is that we do need to see some breaks of structure or something that's going to attract people into selling it in the wrong place. At this point is literally just a strong move up, a retracement, and maybe continuation. We kind of need a double top or something like that, and a break to start tracking people into selling, and then you may have that fake out, that final fake out. So it's still early stages. So in terms of any target, anything that you're looking in for sales in here, I'll still be conservative. Just find the next valid structure and close your trade there until you are more attractive into selling. But this reaction is actually quite good, to be honest. On Bitcoin, where are you looking for shorts? 122 886 122. This one higher. 122 86. Oh, is that the daily level in there? It's 86. Yeah, it looks like something in there. Yeah, it's all-time highs. It's always tricky. This one's is really tricky. Yeah, in here on the 5 minutes, 15 minutes, I think I can see what you're looking at. But this is quite risky. Yeah, it's quite risky. So is price already reacting from here? Got really close to it. We did manage to break below that low. After that, we kind of had a nice move in here. This was a nice demand zone that price basically reacted from. At least if I would like to see any sales from that level, I would love to see these lows being taken. And so I'd love to see at least this low being taken one more time and price not really coming all the way back in here. If you do have that low being taken, maybe price and back in here, yeah, maybe then we could negotiate the level that's a valid zone to look for shorts. Otherwise, price just keeps respecting this level, we might have new highs again. Euro yen, yeah, I just looked at that. Euro yen was a great one this week. I'm looking higher, 169. Yeah, I think we're looking both higher. On 73693. Yeah, I'm going to be paying attention to that as well. Whenever you take this top, I think we can maybe find an opportunity. There's a little bit of distraction. Price should have respected, but it didn't. So I'll be paying attention to that. Yeah, this week was a great one. This week, this 7 here could have been great, to be honest. Weird target. Yeah, that would have been amazing. But yeah, the end pair, as I mentioned, that's something that I'll be looking at. It's definitely something that matters to me, based on where price is and what the yen index and the dollar index are doing and so on. So I'll be paying attention. Looking at the indices. So yes, looking at the indices. This is an interesting one that I'll be keeping an eye on. I think we may have, even if you do break new all-time highs, I think price is going to continue to show some selling pressure. This was an interesting quasi-model. This was an interesting quasi-model. We continue to push lower, and yeah, in this situation, I like the fact that we started to break some walls in there, even though we did respect that structure in here on the left side. But we started to have some selling pressure as well below those lows. Maybe that's just a little bit for a continuation, but we can start looking at some ranges like this, right? So if you do catch a move, something like that, maybe price can just, it has a bigger range at this point that can navigate towards to, and sometimes those get filled quite nicely intraday or in 2 days. So the risk reward of the trades that we may be starting to look at in here, it's different. Like you mentioned you mentioned this range before. Okay, this we are talking about as well a few days. This is one range that price was trading, and now this is a new one. Okay, basically you can fit 2 or 3 times that range in here. So that's the benefit, and usually starts like this as well. So when price is moving to the upside and eventually can be closer to a turn or something like that, it starts with some range like this and kind of expands a little bit, and now the range expands as well, and then eventually can even expand even more, and all of a sudden you start trading moves like this. So it goes from this to something like that, and price moves, as you can see, like these big candles, these big drops, these candles like this. So it's about being positioned in the right side, and I'll be looking for that on the S&P and across the indices. Attention to whatever structure price wants to go towards to. That can be a target, but yeah. S&P, this is NASDAQ. Yeah, nice move, nice break as well. The price wants to go a little bit lower. Maybe at the top in here can still be interesting to for sales. That one is maybe still fresh. This kind of a Quasimodo, maybe. Yeah, that one looks to me that it's still fresh. I'm actually have some kind of a Quasimodo in here. that's going to be an interesting one to pay attention. And even just taking this stop in here can also be something to pay attention. I like the fact that you'd managed to break below this wall. I really like the fact that, yeah, that's nice. So maybe NASDAQ we can have a little bit of selling pressure even from the top that we are right now. Dow, yeah, good reaction from there. Dow is still managed to respect the previous all-time high. I did manage to have this good move to downside. That's an interesting one. Yeah. Yep, we'll see. DAX respected this left shoulder. And we can even go a little bit higher. It's 100. Can't go and take new highs. That's basically it. Yeah, that's basically it. Basically, what I'm going to be looking at. Just to summarize. Dollar index. Dollar index. I'm going to be looking at the stops again, or even here to look for shorts. And I would love to see a deeper retracement before a move to the upside or something like that. So, so hopefully price doesn't just stop in here and goes down. Hopefully price has a little bit more of a move, either goes to the top from this week or even higher, a little bit more towards that direction. So that would be my idea. I'll be paying attention as well to this Euro index, which can maybe still bounce in between these levels without anything. Going for it. Euro dollar, not exactly the pair that I'm going to be trying to look for a long, but if something like this happens, maybe there's a potential, or then price come back into something in there. Then you have the pound dollar. The pound dollar at this point, I would like it to continue to push a little bit lower before moving higher. So maybe we can even go closer to those lows or just something in there. So I would love to be a bit more down before anything. And if we do manage to break then above this top, I think we start opening the door to go higher and we target those highs there. Nothing with the Aussie. And then the N pairs. N pairs are the ones that I'm going to pay a lot of attention. Also do yen index, try to see if you do have an opportunity to look already for a long from here, which means shorts on the yen pairs, or maybe can have a little bit more of a selling pressure first before moving higher. So this one, the yen index is going to be definitely on my radar. I think it's going to provide, depending on how it moves, it can provide good opportunities on the yen pairs, on the dollar yen and euro yen, for example. So dollar yen, I would actually like to see it going a little bit higher before attempting to go lower again. So I would like to see that happening. Euro yen as well, maybe a bit higher before it moves lower. Even on the pound as well, pound yen. Yeah, those would be gold, doesn't really care. US indices trying to look for shorts. Oil at this point a bit indecised. Maybe at the extremes, maybe we can try to find opportunities and maybe selling from there. Yeah, maybe some longs from there. Not entirely sure about that. Yeah, that's it. That's basically it, guys. So, thank you. Yeah, it's going to be about finding good opportunities in alignment with different assets. The correlation, I'm taking more and more advantage of correlation in the market, and I will continue to do that. That's going to be my focus for this week as well. I think that brings such a great advantage on the quality of the opportunities that you can find in the market. Combining a few currency indices is so good. It's so good. Okay, so I'll see you next week, guys. Thank you very much, and have a nice rest of Sunday and a good week. Bye bye.